Gregory Kelemen, 57 years old, was an employee at Cooper Health. He was married to Sherry. Sherry was employed as a cardiovascular researcher at Temple University. The couple had a 22-year-old daughter, Catherine. Catherine was a junior at Temple University's College of Liberal Arts. The family lived at the 100 block of Round Hill Road in Voorhees Township in New Jersey. On Monday, November 22 in 2021, at 6:49 a.m. Sherry Kelemen called 911 asking for medical assistance. She told the dispatcher both she and her daughter were beaten by a baseball bat. After attacking his wife and daughter, Kelemen fled the scene by car. At 10:10 a.m. he called his employer, telling them he had a family emergency, and he would be late for work. Sherry said she woke up to her husband beating her with a baseball bat. Their 22-year-old daughter Catherine was found badly beaten in her bedroom. Both Sherry and Catherine were rushed to the Jefferson University Hospital in Stratford, New Jersey. Catherine's injuries were too severe. She died shortly after arriving at the hospital. An autopsy was performed on Catherine Kelemen. The Camden County Prosecutor's Office said that Catherine's cause of death was homicide caused by blunt force trauma. Sherry Kelemen was suffering from severe injuries to her head and hands. She was in critical condition but expects to survive. Sherry told authorities her husband was saying "I can't take it anymore" as he continuously beat her over the head with a baseball bat. She said she was eventually able to get away from him, and crawled to her daughter's room where she found her unresponsive with horrific injuries. That's when she called 911 for help. Police were unable to locate Gregory Kelemen. He was charged with murder and attempted murder and unlawful possession of a weapon. Federal and local law enforcement officials began a statewide search for the suspected killer. The search did not last long. On Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. authorities located a man's body in a wooded area near the Robin Hill Apartments on Preston Avenue. The body was positively identified as Gregory Kelemen. The location of his body was approximately 1 mile from his home. The Camden County Prosecutor Jill Meyer confirmed that Kelemen died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The horrific deeds carried out by Gregory Kelemen shocked the citizens of Voorhees. The family lived in the area for over 2 decades. Neighbors say they were always seen walking together and doing things together as a family. They say this is completely out of character for him. Funeral arrangements were unknown to the general public. David R., 40 years old, was a teacher at a vocational school. His wife, Linda, 40 years old, worked at the W.H. Wildow University. The couple had 3 children: 10-year-old Lenny, 8-year-old Johnny, and 4-year-old Ruby. The family lived in their home in Königs Wusterhausen, in Sinzig, Germany, just south of the capital Berlin. COVID-19 has been an ongoing global pandemic since 2019. There has been over 274 million people who tested positive for the coronavirus worldwide, and 5.35 million of those have died. Like much of the rest of the world, Germany is tightening its restrictions on people who haven't received the COVID vaccine. German authorities agreed recently to prevent unvaccinated people from access to all essential businesses, except for a handful of places. It's also now mandatory for employers to require an employee to show their vaccine certificate. Germany has made it a criminal offense to use incorrect health certificates, with a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison or pay a large fine. David is a part of the anti-COVID-19 vaccine conspiracy group called Quadenka. The group's central focus was pushing COVID-19 conspiracies and strongly opposed pandemic regulations. One of the common theories in these sort of groups is the idea that those who don't get vaccinated will be thrown in prison, or starve from not being able to purchase food. The Querdenker movement was able to gather tens of thousands of supporters into the street in Germany in protest of pandemic restrictions. The group has been compared to QAnon in the United States. David refused to get vaccinated, and he wouldn't allow his wife or daughters to get the vaccine either. Instead, he ordered fake vaccine certificates for himself, his wife and his children from the internet. David recently got fired from his job for providing a false document regarding the vaccine. His employer told him that they were going to prosecute with vigor. Shortly after that, his wife's employer also discovered her certificate was a fake. On December 4 in 2021, David shot his wife in the head, then stabbed her numerous times. He then shot each daughter in like manner, as well as stabbing each one numerous times to ensure they were dead. He then turned the gun on himself and committed suicide. On December 5, neighbors decided to check on the family when no movement came from the home in a few days. When a neighbor peered in the window, they were horrified to see bodies. They immediately called police. During the investigation, authorities found a suicide note where David feared his children would be taken away due to forging the vaccination certificates. Further investigation revealed that David had ordered the fake vaccination certificates online. Neither David or his wife had a police record, and police were never called to the family home for any reason. Isabella Heuser, a psychiatrist from Berlin Hospital, told reporters that suspects in similar crimes often have serious mental illness. She said delusional disorders, depression, paranoid personality disorders, and severe narcissism can usually be found in individuals who commit such horrible murders against their families. Funeral arrangements are unknown at this time. Shankar Hangud, age 55, was originally from the Hangud village in India. The village is near Hansha, and lies on the border of Nagarhole National Park. The family had left Hangud around 30 to 35 years ago. Some of his family members live in Bengaluru and Hyderabad. According to villagers, the family had over 4 to 5 acres of land and a house at Hangud which was sold before they left. Hangud was a data specialist who worked for several companies in the Sacramento and San Francisco Bay Area over a span of years. However, he recently fell on hard times and could not land a job. Hangud was married to 46-year-old Yoti Hangud. The couple had 3 children, Veram Hangud, age 20, Gauri Hangud, age 16, and Nishal Hangud, age 13. The family lived in their Roseville, California apartment at the Wood Creek West complex on Junction Boulevard. Hangud and his wife, Yoti, were experiencing marital problems due to his unemployment. On October 14, Hangud walked into the Mount Shasta Police Department and told them he murdered some people and one of his victims was in the trunk of his car. It was determined that Hangud drove over 230 miles to the Mount Shasta police station. It's unclear why he would drive so far. The body in the trunk was his 20-year-old son, Veram Hangud. After police searched his home in Roseville, they found his other 2 children and wife deceased. The investigation uncovered that Hangud faced an IRS tax lien of $178,000, but his only prior interaction with law enforcement was a speeding ticket in 2016. Hangud told investigators the murders happened over several days at his home, because he could not financially support his family. He said he felt distressed after losing his job and having marital problems. It was found that Hangud murdered each member of his family during over the course of a week. He began by killing his wife and daughters over the course of approximately 3 days. He then reportedly drove his son to a remote area in Siskiyou County where he killed him, then placed his body in the trunk of the car. Hangud initially pled not guilty, but changed his plea to guilty on all 3 counts of first-degree murder for each of his children, and also the intentional aiding of his wife in committing suicide. This successful prosecution is a testament to the excellent investigation conducted by the patrol officers and detectives at the Roseville Police Department, Kelemen said in a statement on the day before sentencing. The deaths of these young victims touched this community very deeply, and although there are no family members left to see justice served, many in our community remember the victims from school, or from their neighborhood, Placer County Chief Assistant, District Attorney David Kelemen told reporters. It's hard to reconcile with the facts that this tragedy could happen, because someone couldn't get employed. But it's an old-world patriarchal thought pattern, where if he can't be a provider, he doesn't want his family to have nothing. So he kills his family, Kelemen said. Kelemen also said that killing more than one person constituted a special circumstance, under state law that meant Hangud should be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Judge Penny sentenced Hangud to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Gregory Kelemen brutally beat his wife and daughter with a baseball bat, saying over and over that he can't take it anymore. No matter what sent this madman over the edge, using a bat is brutal. It takes a sadistic man to beat your family to death. Luckily his wife survived, but unfortunately his lovely daughter's life was cut short because her father was a selfish monster. David was deeply involved in conspiracy groups that echoed paranoia. When his country forced proof of vaccine before you can work or purchase goods, he chose to break the law instead of getting vaccinated. When his deception was uncovered, instead of facing what he'd done, he murdered his entire family, then committed suicide. He's a coward who forced his entire family to suffer the consequences of his crimes. Shankar Hangud fell on hard times when he couldn't find a job for some time. Instead of pursuing assistance through other means like many other unemployed people do, he did the unthinkable. He slaughtered them all. His family did not deserve to die because of his shortcomings. He's an evil beast. May all the victims in all 3 cases rest in peace. That concludes this episode. Keep your eye out for the next volume, coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.
Want to help support the channel you love, and get something in return? Simply purchase some Elizabeth's Chronicles merch. We have coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, cozy blankets, beach towels, phone covers and more. Use the coupon code EC10OFF4U and get 10% off your order. The link to order is in the description area below this video. Thanks for helping Elizabeth's Chronicles continue to make the videos you love.